Good evening, Spartans. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Christopher Dailey, and I am the Superintendent of Schools. 1 week from today, most of our elementary students will return to in-person learning 4 days per week. While this is a very exciting time for elementary students and families, I want to acknowledge our disappointment about having to postpone our move to 4 days for our secondary level learners in grades 6 through 12. In meeting with my superintendent colleagues in our local health department, we were hopeful that social distancing and requirements about cohorting would be relaxed enough to be able to bring all grade levels back. Unfortunately, we've had to pivot yet again. Before I jump into talking about our elementary procedures for next week, I'll begin by talking about guidance related to students in grades 6 through 12 or our middle and high school students. Then we'll move to K through 5 procedures, including some information specific to our youngest UPK learners, and then we'll conclude with information about some of our end of year events. So here we go. The State Health Department is utilizing the CDC's zoning qualifications, high transmission rates to determine distancing and cohorts amongst students in schools. The guidance defines cohorting as, quote, self-contained, pre-assigned groups. In other words, the same students would need to be together in classrooms throughout the day to prevent, quote, intermingling between cohorts. The guidance specifically states when schools cannot maintain cohorting, middle and high schools must maintain physical distancing of at least 6 feet between students and classrooms. Obviously, our middle school and high school schedules are so individualized with a wide variety of courses that cohorting would not be possible while we are in the red zone. This cohorting requirement is relaxed when we move out of the CDC's high transmission red zone. So, in order to bring our middle school and high school students back 4 days per week, our regional transmission rate needs to be below 100 cases per 100,000 people. Unfortunately, right now, our area is well above 200. We hope that somehow we can get there soon. My team and I have been going over and over this in our planning meetings. And as a district, we have decided that if the rates are not out of the red zone by May 7th, we will need to keep our 6 through 12 students in the current hybrid model for the remainder of the school year. Both the state guidance document and a link to the CDC's indicators and thresholds are available at gateschili.org/coronavirus. Believe me, I truly understand how difficult this is. I realize none of this is ideal. It is extremely frustrating for our middle and high school students and families, but also our staff and administration. We were so excited to bring students back together next week. We will continue to advocate with the State Health Department and the Governor's Office to try and bring back our secondary learners to more in-person learning. Next, let's discuss our plans for students in kindergarten through grade 5. First, the schedule. All in-person students in grades kindergarten through 5 will be remote on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week. That is April 19th, April 20th, and April 21st. They will report to school on Thursday and Friday, April 22nd and 23rd. Beginning the week of April 26th, students will attend every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday in person, and attend remotely on Wednesdays as they've been doing all year. Transportation. This will be largely similar to what we've been doing, but with the new guidance, we're able to seat 2 students per seat with masks on. Families can choose to continue to drive students to school, but we can accommodate more students on the buses now if you so choose. Additionally, with the weather getting warmer, we will be opening windows whenever the weather permits to increase our airflow on all our buses. Next, social distancing in elementary schools. According to what the CDC guidance says, as I mentioned earlier, students should be at least 3 feet apart in elementary schools and masked. Students will continue to wear masks at all times, except when eating. The 6-foot rule still applies during mealtime when masks cannot be worn. So lunches and snacks will be done in shifts in order to meet that minimum 6-foot requirement while unmasked. Students will take turns eating 15 minutes at a time, so they're not exposed for longer than that. We'll also utilize the outdoors as much as possible, as well as having windows open and doors to the hallways open when possible to improve our airflow. The thorough cleaning and disinfecting will continue at all our Gates Chi buildings. None of our cleaning procedures will be relaxed for any grade level. They will continue to be at a high level for the remainder of the year. Additionally, a great deal of thought has been put into transitions for specials at the elementary level and making sure that those are continued to be handled safely. Staff will continue to model and have students practice good hand hygiene in addition to masking and distancing when possible. Now, a word about our students who attend pre-K at Imagine Child Care Academy or Neil Armstrong. We are happy to be bringing back more of our youngest learners back into our pre-K classrooms for important play and learning experiences. These students will return to 4 days per week learning beginning Monday, April 19th. Gates Chi will continue to focus on strategies that have worked this year. Much of this is the same information as what I just mentioned for our other buildings. We will maintain cohorts, meaning that the same group of students will learn and play together throughout their school day. Just like all the other schools, cleaning and disinfecting protocols are in place and will continue to be followed. Pre-K students and teachers will continue to wear masks. Our youngest students have done phenomenally well with this. We will continue to teach and practice the importance of hand hygiene. And as the spring weather is here, we will be maximizing outdoor learning opportunities whenever possible. Now, finally, a quick word about end-of-year events. We're very excited to announce that we will host graduation on campus again. The commencement for the class of 2021 will be at Spartan Stadium. In addition, the district will be able to host an in-person 8th grade dance and senior ball on campus. Given that we are having to get creative with this again this year, we are still in the planning stages for these events and several others. Each of our schools will communicate more information about important end-of-year events as they are finalized in all our buildings. Now, I'll take a few moments to answer some of the questions from the live chat. Please just give us just a moment to pull up the first question. To make the best use of our time today, please be mindful of asking questions that have already been asked. This forum is being recorded, and you can watch this back if you missed anything. A community member asked, will there be mask breaks for students during the day? Yes, there will be. In each building. The next question is there a way to split the class in half and have half in the classroom and half in the lunchroom? Utilize the classrooms that remote teachers are using in order to extend lunch times beyond 15 minutes. We are exploring all different kinds of things to do. We've got a plan in place and we'll evaluate as we go. But yes, we are utilizing all our spaces possible in order to do this. Most students are done well, especially at the elementary level, well before then. And we will be utilizing different ways of doing it as much as possible. Is the district planning to advocate or make legal moves against the state to change the guidelines? We are advocating daily with county and state health department, reaching out on multiple levels. and advocating to try and get our secondary back. No one wants our 612 students back in school more than I, and I am hopeful that through our advocacy that may be possible. If for some reason things change, will the children be able to resume remote learning? We will take each case individually and see what we can do, but the general answer is yes. What if the student normally attends school on Mondays? Do they still report? If they are in elementary, K through 5, no. They are remote next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If they are secondary, meaning middle school and high school, yes, they do report on the 19th. Can you speak about plans for middle school's schedule, please? The middle school will resume classes Monday for Monday, Thursdays, cohorts, and then Tuesday, Friday cohorts will continue again on Tuesday, with Wednesday being remote. Will classroom desks have barriers around them? Will barriers be used in classrooms? Yes, we have barriers in our classrooms and in our cafeterias, and we'll continue to utilize them. They're not, and the question is, are they around them? They're on top of the desk in a trifold kind of thing. I would also like to share, while we're waiting for the next one, that we have been having many of our staff and faculty have chosen to be vaccinated. We're well over half our staff have been able to get that so far. And we're actually holding a clinic tomorrow for remaining staff that choose to get it. So we've been very active in that and trying to protect our staff during this pandemic. Again, we will prioritize getting our students outdoors as much as possible, windows open, getting fresh air in, and using that. This is another way of increasing airflow. We already exceed the expectations, but we'll continue to work towards that. And again, what has to change in order for middle and high schools to go back to 4 days a week, we either need the state to relax the red zone expectation of cohorting. If they do not require secondary to cohort, we would be able to bring our students back. They need to relax that and that 6-foot rule in order to have kids here 4 days a week. State and federal governments are allocating a lot of funds to school. Will any of those funds be able to be used for this year? How will they be used? They are not eligible to be used for this year. They are over the next 3 to 4 years, depending on which source you're talking about. We have to submit a plan by July 1, which they have not made available yet. Parts of the plan have to be used for catching students and staff up from being in a unique situation for the last year and a half. And there are multiple layers of what it can be spent on that we will be learning about as it becomes more knowledgeable of what is expected out of the plans we have to turn in. The barriers are being used to help, depending on which study you read. Some say it restricts airflow, others say it helps keeps kids safe. We have had a extremely low transmission rate in our district, and so we've been keeping it, we've determined to keep it there for now. The health department said we would be fine to do so. The precautions for pre-K classes are the same as K through 5. Students will be masked and cohorted, and there'll be limited movement between different things, but the pre-K is having the same expectations as our elementary. And we have a great system working with Imaginations. They do an outstanding job of taking care of the kids. They have the same expectations as we have. So the lunchtime question elaboration. 15 minutes of lunch seems a little short. Can you explain how that works? In areas where kids will be eating in their classroom versus the lunchroom, half the kids would be doing an activity for 15 minutes masked while other students eat, and then they would switch, and the other students would get an opportunity to unmask and eat, while the other half of the students now would be masked doing an activity. On days where it's able to, they would be going outside as much as possible. Define cohort again. Cohort would be an assigned group that stays together all day. So for example, a group of 20 students at the high school may have a homeroom together, let's say. Then they spread out throughout the day to take on their different courses depending on their academic plan. Unlike in elementary, where you can keep a group of students together all day, at the secondary level, our students transition between classes on a regular basis and not always with the same cohort all day long. So we are unable to do that at the secondary level, thus why we cannot open under a red zone currently. How are our teachers doing? Our teachers are amazing. What are their concerns? Their concerns are the same as anybody's. Are we doing everything we can to keep the school clean and sanitized? Yes. Are they disappointed that the students are coming back at the secondary? Absolutely. We got into education to be with students. We want them here. Believe me, if we could, we would. And we are going to do everything we can to try and make that happen. If a remote high school student was signed up to return, is it possible for them to switch to hybrid until the 4-day week is allowed? You would need to reach out to the high school to try and facilitate that. So if your remote high school student has signed up to return to 4 days, yes, they would be able to be in hybrid. But I would contact the counselor in the morning to confirm. In the same vein, can students stay in or go back to remote learning? If students were coming from a remote to in-person, meaning 4 days, yes, they would still be in a hybrid mode. If you choose to have your child go back to remote learning, you need to contact the school tomorrow. Why not just wait for more days in person until next school year? Great question. We want our kids to be able to get back, get used to school again, so that in the fall they can come back as worry-free as possible. The transition to in-person learning will be hard for many students and staff. They're going to be very tired to get used to the schedule again. We would really like to have everybody back that we could, because school is meant to be that way. So we're going to use this time to build stamina, to get used to school, to get used to our classmates again, and the social emotional wellness of our students is extremely important. We want them to be able to experience school as much as possible. Someone has shared that COVID is spreading in school. Can I provide a response contrary? Yes. We have a very low spread rate compared to the general population in schools. We take better precautions than out in public. Question, I was waiting to see when this one would come up. Do you feel the kids will be able to start full-time in the fall? Yes. Yes, I do. We have preparing for the fall for a while now, and we anticipate being able to do that and fully expect to be able to have our students back in the fall. I am very hopeful as the vaccinations take hold that the practices that we've done very well as a Gates Chi-Li community continue to take hold to allow us to be able to come back in full in the fall, probably masked, but to be able to be in person. I believe that will happen. Why are the elementary students not going to school coming Monday? Why change it for 1 week? Well, this will be the third opening day for our elementary schools this year. There's a lot of transition that needs to happen as far as setting classrooms up, as far as getting everybody ready for new administrative assignments based on the students coming back. So in order to be prepared and make sure that Thursday and Friday are as close to flawless as possible, we are using this time to help our teachers and administrators and staff and food service time to be prepared to do it right the first time when students at the elementary level return on Thursday. Okay, do you believe that the New York State Department of Health is making it difficult for the secondary kids to go back so they can mandate the vaccine to return? No, I do not. Any thoughts on optional summer school? We are currently putting together plans for students to be able to get some work in the summer. There will be a summer school, and more information will be coming out about that shortly. Is every building only allowing a 15-minute lunch? This is for the elementary buildings that are coming back K-5. Each building is going to adapt, and they will be sharing their plans with you shortly. And again, believe me, we're going to make sure that kids have time to eat. There will be some kids that are done in 2 minutes. There will be kids that need longer than 15. No one is going to go hungry. We will make sure to adjust. And again, just like any plan, we're implementing it. And if it needs to be adjusted, we will. Our kids' safety and students and staff safety are so important to us. We will make sure that we make it work, and no kid will go hungry. Looking ahead to the fall again, when you say full-time for fall, in person, 5 days a week or 4 days a one remote, it would be 5 days is what we are planning on. Okay, we got about 2 minutes left. Any other questions? I'm sorry, 3 minutes. What about spring sports? Miraculously, in New York State, we have to jump through hoops to get students back into class full times, but spring sports are starting Monday. And our fall 2 sports are concluding in the next week or so as they go into sectionals. Question came up again about the May 7th date. Right now, we're saying if the rate has not gone down by May 7th and there are no changes from the state, we would choose to remain in hybrid for the secondary for the remainder of the spring. So that's what that May 7th date is for. We're hopeful the rate goes down or there's a change in the expectation from the state to allow us to bring our secondary or grades 6 through 12 students back for 4 days. Your the transportation information is being sent out, and you should receive that shortly in the mail. It'll be via school tool, parent portal. So you should have that to be able to see and if there's any questions, you can contact our transportation department. Will there be camps held at the schools during the summer? Yes. We also remind everybody that free meals are still available this summer. Our grant runs through September, so that will also be offered to our families all summer and right now. Remember, if you are on remote, you can come to the middle school and get meals. And summer meals are July 6th through August 13th. Okay. Nothing about this situation is perfect, but this is where we are, and this is what we need to do to safely bring students back to in-person learning right now. Nothing would make me or our staff happier if we could bring back our students, all of them, to some form of in-person learning safely. I hope that as a region, we can buckle down and get the spread of COVID-19 decreasing again, so we can expand our 4-day per week learning to our secondary level learners as soon as possible. I want to thank each of you for joining us for this live forum. Go Spartans.